Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the third instruction session of Business Tech Masterclass, I believe, and overall our fifth session, if I'm not mistaken. So today we will be looking at sales-driven designs and integrations. So in previous sessions, we learned what internet was, how it worked. We learned how different platforms, content management systems existed, and whether we can go with, let's say, an open source options such as WordPress or non-open source options such as ClickFunnels. We learned how web pages are made, what elements are in them, but we have not really talked about designing anything yet. So today is actually pretty much the most important session of the whole course. And we will be talking about how to put together the elements that would actually attract users, how to make it easier for people to navigate through our pages, how to select content that we actually want to put our pages, and finally, how to connect all the services, tools that you're using together so that it's an ongoing process, a semi-automated process that takes our business forward. I'm going to share my screen very quickly. And first, I want to say very quick thank you to people for doing their homework from last session. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Very good, awesome. TJ, very good work. Mo is not here yet, but he made a very beautiful page as well. I didn't get the chance to check all the assignments, but overall good work. Thank you. So let's take a look and see what we are learning today. Sales-driven designs and integrations. We're going to start by talking about landing pages and sales pages and the rules and elements that go inside them. So what exactly is a landing page? When everybody's saying landing page, what is this thing? We are going to talk about CRM. So basically MailChimp, Aweber, or any other system that is responsible for getting people's mailing address and also adding them to a list and taking a secondary or tertiary action based on that trigger that you have made. And finally, we're going to take a look at something that looks very difficult to a lot of people, but it's actually quite easy, much easier than CRM integrations, and that is payment processing. How anybody without spending a cent can actually collect payments on their websites. It can be your one-page website, or it can be a full-on 12, 15-page membership login website. Makes no difference. So let's get started. The first point that we will be talking about today is basically the landing page. And let's answer for a quick question. What is a landing page? And we're going to actually take a look at some samples too. A landing page is basically a web page, is the first point of contact between you and your clients. So it doesn't matter who your client is. So forgive the terminology. Maybe you're running a charity website, so you don't have a client. Maybe it's a blog. So when I say client, I mean the user who's actually coming and visiting your web page. Your landing page is your first point of contact. So let's say on my website, on this very website, Tech Master Academy, there are on the front end and back end together, there are almost 16 pages, but there's only one page that everybody will remember, and that is a front page. That would be called a landing page. Now, in this case, if I can actually show you an example, if you remember with Tech Master Academy, the landing page is basically a welcoming page saying what the title is, what it's all about, and what we do here. Going back to the discussion we were having, you see, a landing page is not something special. A landing page can have anything on it pretty much, as long as your users respond to it. So let's get something out of the way right now. There is a misperception that a landing page must have a certain element, must have a certain graphic, must have a certain type of contact form, or everybody likes to call them opt-in forms. That is not the case. If you are an artist and you are having a website that is basically a gallery, and you want to send people an update, so whenever you post a new work, yes, maybe you need the contact form, but many other elements, as we will be talking about, do not apply to your page. Now, what are those standard elements? Because like we said, yes, in the end, your purpose here is to get some information from people, and every page that wants to qualify to be able to get some information from people needs to check a few boxes. Like what? First of all, a landing page should have zero distraction for your users. That is why the first thing we do is hide navigation. You might take a look at a lot of landing pages that do not do this, and that is absolutely true. It depends if your landing page is just for one process or for multiple processes. Let's give another example. Going back to TechMaster Academy, my landing page is serving more than one process, more than one purpose. So number one, I'm trying to get people to download a certain gift that I have. Why? Because I want to get their name and email address and add it to my mailing list. So that is basically the most basic function that a landing page can serve. But a landing page can do much more as well. The landing page can start giving information about your services. A landing page is there to give a promise, give a hope to people that, oh, this program might be actually useful to me. A landing page is not there to sell anything, but it's just saying, look at us, see what we have. Would you like to look at our options? That's it. And in an analogy, let's say if you're a shopkeeper, your landing page is the first smile you give people when they're looking inside your shop. You know, when people are window shopping and there's a very creepy shopkeeper going like this, that's your landing page. That's just saying that, oh, I see that you might be interested. Would you like to know more? Come in. That's it. So with that in mind, that is why I have not erased my navigation, because this is a membership website. But if I wanted only and only to get people's information, add them to my mailing list, and send them a file or a link or a welcome email or anything, whatever content that I have whatsoever, in that case, if that's the only purpose, then all of these would count as distractions. Everything that you see here. This will, as we will get to it in a second, this is all down to the question of how many call to actions you have, but we're going to discuss that in a second. So, skip one sec. All right, now on most pages, if you're, let's say, if you're having an event in this case, and you want a landing page for that event, and you don't want people to get distracted with any other products that you have, that is when you hide your navigation. And to do that, let's say on different platforms, you have different ways. On ClickFunnels is actually easy because you don't even have a set navigation. If you want a navigation, you should add it yourself. So by default, you don't need to do anything there. On WordPress, how you can do this is to navigate to the backend of whatever page it is that you're using as your landing page, and then change that page template to blank. I will do a demo here for you very quickly. Just give me a second. I'm going to log in here, which might take an eternity, as you know, on my computer. It's not the fastest thing. Please, people, raise money so I can buy a new computer. Just saying. Okay, if I go to one of the pages here, thank you. And if you remember, we created a test page here, both a test here and Business Tech Masterclass. So let's say I am using that as a landing page, which I'm going to modify today to create a landing page with you. I want to change this so that people do not see the navigation menu, home, and everything else. I just want to be content and nothing else. What I need to do is basically, first, I'm going to edit with the Divi Builder. That's what I'm going to do later. But depending on what you have, you can basically go through page attributes, let's say, template, right now it's on default template. If I switch it to blank page, now my navigation, my header and footer are going to disappear. I update this and my job is done. Any questions so far, guys? Are we all good? If you're good, give me thumbs up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, right on, let's go. Back to what we were talking about. Now, what else is the standard? And when I say standard, again, like I repeat, there's no set recipe because every industry has a different style of landing page. But as sort of a standard accepted between businesses that sell stuff, the second thing that we need to have is always and always a clear, concise headline and subheading. So to be very, here's a very like 30-second anecdote. When I started web design, it was always a question for me, why pages always start with this rectangular box on top with something written in the middle? Why does every freaking website look like others? Like, can't they make it another way? Of course they can. Definitely they can. There are a lot of pages that do fall another way. If you look at the course content from last session, the example that we were looking at from, if I'm not mistaken, from National Geographic, that website does not follow the same format. But there is a reason. They're not selling anything. They don't need to sell themselves. National Geographic is, if not the most, it should be one of the top 10 most famous magazines that are out there. So they don't need to market themselves, really. However, a business like mine, I need to market myself. I need to introduce myself to my audience. That is why I always need to have a heading and a subheading. Now, these two play different roles, and I will explain to you very quickly. Number one, heading and subheading, just because of the place that they are the first text, they are the first thing that search engines see. Simple as that. So if you want to know when people search you on Google and first the name of your website comes up and then whatever content that you had, where it's coming from, initially it comes from the heading and subheading content. So if you want to have a good SEO game, you need to make sure that every single page that you have has a written heading and subheading. Now, in creating a web page, you have the chance to actually select between different styles of font. In this case, I'm just going to quickly use Divi Builder to show you. By default, WordPress sets the font to a format called paragraph. However, you have heading formats as well. There are, and they range from H5 being the smallest to H1 being the largest. By default, search engines consider H1 as being the title of the website, as being the most important thing, and they consider H2 to be the description. So that being said, if I want to add a heading here, I'm using Divi again, just as a reminder. I can write, welcome to, let's say, Business Tech Masterclass. And as you can see right now, it is set to paragraph. What I'm going to do is to change this to an H1 heading. This way, search engines realize that, okay, these words are actually the most important words on this page. I always have the chance to change the size of the heading, to change the font, and those are all the possibilities. Absolutely. Are they necessary and do they matter? Absolutely not. Just in case of design, yes. Usually people put heading as the largest visible thing on the page, but that is not a necessity. This should tell you a trick. There are a lot of pages that don't really require a heading. Like in design-wise, let's say my clients tell me, no, I don't want something large written on top of my page. To help their SEO, I still create this. However, there are tricks. I just make this invisible. So a search engine, a robot will still see this. The value is there. They will index it. It will count for SEO. But in terms of the beauty of the page, after I save this, you're going to take a look and you will see that it will disappear. Just give me one sec. Come on, Divi. Be my friend today. Thank you. So right now, what is happening is that, thank you. You see, it's not visible. You and I, the human eye, we cannot see it, but the robot can acknowledge the text that is back there and it's in H1. So perfect, you're going to index it. So that's one thing that we needed to get out of the way. So actual headings do matter. This is not by any means a copywriting class. I don't even do copywriting anymore, and there is a reason. It's a big headache. Societies change. So the way we write for the society changes every day too. So to be very honest, even I myself, sometimes for my own projects, I hire a copywriter, and I cannot recommend that enough. And here's a reason. A heading or a subheading needs to be clear and concise. What does it mean? There is no beating around the bush. Like I used to see websites that started with rhetorical questions. Have you ever wanted to be happy? Like, number one, first, of course, everybody wants to be happy. Nobody says, oh, no, I'm really sad that I'm happy. That doesn't work that way. and it's too long. So generally, people after reading that would go like, oh yeah, I'm not even going to continue with this page. Again, a heading always and always needs to be clear and concise, as short and as to the point as possible. I tried to actually explain myself really well here, so I'm going to read it for you. Whether people stay and engage or simply navigate away from your page depends mainly on your heading. So your page can be the ugliest page in the world. It can be the worst design ever, but people still navigate through it. People still read through it because your content is interesting enough. Yes, if you have a business of selling Barbie dolls, then your written content doesn't really count. It's mainly imagery because that's what your client is buying. But if your business, if you're in coaching business, if you're in serving, if you're in consulting business, if you're a dentist, anything where information matters or skills matter, that is when a headline is very important. Now, there are certain things that your headline always needs to have inside it. First, it should tell people what kind of content they're signing up for. By the way, it doesn't really matter if it's in your heading or subheading. Like in my case, I chose my heading to be, I'm going to go back here. I chose my heading to, did I close that? Yes, I think so. I'm sorry, here. I chose my heading to be the title of my academy and my subheading, my motto, basically my slogan. Now, this can, again, like I said, for your, the reason I did this is that my clientele are mainly business owners, entrepreneurs who are trying to catch up with their business. Their business is alive, is thriving, but they simply, in terms of technology, they cannot catch up with their business. So this is my clientele. So I needed to do this. You need to take a look at your own business and decide based on that. I always say, I think I wrote it even here, I highly recommend hiring a professional copywriter all the time. You should tell people what perks or discounts they're getting if they opt in here. Now, this is also something that we can do on a sales page. So we're going to talk about this after landing pages. It's not necessary that you have all three on your landing page. It's either or. So, but you need to have at least one of these three. You should tell them what product you're launching or what product you're selling or why they're here. So basically, what the content, the heading of your landing page should say is that what they're going to do here, like in this case, the example, we have learned the science, what benefit they get. Now, in this case, behind the art of winemaking. So people are going to see behind the scenes. That's always interesting. So the copywriter who wrote this, I really want to salute them. It works for me. If I see this, it's very simple. It's very basic, but it intrigues me. I'm like, if I'm interested in winemaking, that I really want to know what's happening behind, right? In the background. This is the same copywriting technique that YouTubers use to title their episodes. I do suggest you, if you are interested, if you need to do this for yourself, if you are like me, you don't have the money to hire a copywriter, then take a look at YouTubers and see how in different industries, how they are titling their YouTube videos. It's the same principle they're using. And if there is a contact form or so, what exactly they will gain. In this case, fill out this form and we will enroll you in a free sample lesson on sparkling wine. Perfect. So this is all you need to have on your heading and subheading. Actually, for your subheading, try to have these benefits or what they get in the subheading, as you can see here in both red arrows. So your heading can be the title, or it can be a promise, or it can be the specific target, and the benefits and everything else can go in the subheading. Guys, are we good so far? Anyone has any questions? If you're good, give me thumbs up. If you have a question, please raise your hand so I can help you. TJ has a question. Please go ahead.
I think all of us are having websites and we're dealing with one or two websites at least. Right now, when we are talking about these things, I come up to know that not having a good content writer had a lot of effect on in our work.
Yes.
And I just wanted to know how What is your suggestion in this stage for a project that is already starting and a lot of thing has been done on it? Is it a good idea to just hire a content writer and change the text, or will it affect the SEO, or how it needs to be managed?
So this is, like I said, this is not really a copywriting class, but so I give you a 30-second answer. What I would do in your shoes, it really depends how much money you want to spend. If resources are no issues, go and hire a team of copywriters and marketing copywriters, sales copywriters, and they're going to do your tags and everything else for you, and they're going to rewrite the whole content for you. This is going to be expensive. Option 2, take the content that you already have, talk to your marketer, get the tags that they're using for your SEO, give all of them to a copywriter and say, hey, can you please rewrite this for me? Can you optimize this text for me? Then get it back and put it there. This would be a cheaper option. This is option 2 is what I would do for myself. Okay. So anybody else? All good? Yes, Lise, you're fine. Caesar, you're fine. All righty.
Yeah, I thought that invisible text was pretty cool earlier.
Oh, but yes, I mean, this is what, honestly, this is one of the first things I'm trying to get across, that there are a lot of targets that you can hit. Basically, you can achieve all of those with just by hiding text, but just by hiding elements, because there are a lot of things you want Google to see. There are a lot of things you want the backend robots to see, but you just don't want people to see. Simple as that. Or you want people to see on their desktop, but not on their phone, because that photo is simply not the right size for a cell phone screen. So we're going to talk about that later as well, but good to hear that. Now, images, my favorite. I once tried this, and my mentor told me that I was being crazy, but then when we saw the results, my mentor realized that he was being crazy for not doing this. I once made a web page with 0 words on it. 0 words. I made a narrative using images and arrows and everything. So when people landed on the page, they would see a picture, and then there was an arrow to the next picture. So this would force them to scroll down to get to a button that said, yes, I want more of this funny stuff. Okay. That's it. I wanted to do a test and see how many of the people who land on this page would actually go down there and click that button. The interesting point was that based on Google Sites, the plugin, the statistics from Google Analytics, the average person spent up to 3 minutes on that page with no words. And the conversion rate that we had was higher than any other proper page that I had ever made. So this simply tells the power of relevant images. How did I make it relevant on that page? It was easy. It was a joke, so I didn't really care about it. So it was just a curiosity, basically. So I connected everything. I made everything relevant to everything with arrows. But apparently that worked. That's when I realized people actually follow arrows. As simple as that. One of the most basic shapes human has ever made, it still works. So that is when, actually, to be very honest, that is when this fact overhauled the way I used to make websites, and it helped me a lot in my business. And my clients were happier after that, because now I understood the importance of the location of images, the type of images, the colors inside the images, and how they correlate to each other. Basically, compelling imagery is the most important thing to grab people's attention. Other than the heading that we talked about, the image that you use has as much value. So what does this tell us right off the bat? That you cannot use a very special image and a very special headline on top of each other. It doesn't make sense. People respond to either or. If it's both, it's too much information, and people will either scroll away from it, or they will simply close your window and go somewhere else. So in this case, my background is actually very simple. There's nothing special in it. There's nothing conceptual. There's nothing going on there. It's just some graphic to make my page look full, sort of, because I wanted people to actually focus on my heading and subheading, and also this call to action button. Does it make sense? If I had a Mona Lisa back here, people would click this button way less than they do now, even though Mona Lisa is a much more beautiful, I think, background photo. It shouldn't even be a background photo. It should be a foreground photo. That's what I'm trying to say. The power of images is much more than we think. So as they can create a very good effect, they also have the chance to ruin all of your nice work. So selecting images matters a lot. That is why I always tell people a few things like, number one, make sure it's completely irrelevant. If you are a writer, in this example I've given you here, make sure that there's a copy of the cover image of your ebook, for example. Make sure there's a screenshot or a video or a graphic design that relates to your product or service or discount or whatever that you have on your landing page. Like one of the images that has been helping me quite a lot and is a very, very, very simple image that I personally like. And a lot of people are like, it's something on that page kept us reading. If my computer doesn't die, because it's been recording since morning, just one sec, is this image. This is not a very necessarily artistic image, but number one, it has my brand colors inside it. It's blue. As you can see, everything else in this page is blue. Number two, it's relevant. It's 100% relevant. It's a computer that says course 25. And some people are taking notes. Perfect. Did I buy this? Nah, this was a free image on a website. And anybody else can use it. But the point is, because I'm using it in such a relevant state to my own work, people will remember. This will become memorable. People will remember this landing page. Or when I add certain icons that are, these are all the small images that I'm using, and they're all relevant to what we're learning, correct? Even this one I added yesterday, just out of curiosity, to see how people respond to. Would this small animation make people stop and read this for a second? So this is what I mean by compelling imagery. It does not mean buying crazy, expensive, very special images. That brings no value. What does bring value is the relevance. If you use an image and 100 other people use it as well, a lot of marketers tell you, oh, that's so bad for your brand. Your brand needs to have special, like very expensive imagery that nobody else has the right to use. I personally disagree with that. I have never purchased stock photos and my business has been doing well. So knock on the wood. What I'm suggesting here is that if you like, you can use some of the same tools that I use here. Now, I tried to make a list of mainly free tools. So most of these are free. Some have paid options or only paid. So as you go there, you will see. A good example would be, let's say, actually not here, but later I'm going to show you a good example is when you are looking for form builders. One of the best form builders is Gravity Forms, but it comes as paid only. There's no free option. So guys, go ahead and take a look at these. Now, in this case, I want to select a few photos for my Business Tech Masterclass landing page, which has two forms here. I'm not going to need both of these. So I'm going to get rid of one of them. And I'm going to insert an image instead of this form to make it a little more beautiful, perhaps. Okay, so one sec. Come on, my friend. Work with me. Thank you. Let's get rid of some of the stuff we don't need. Now, what I'm going to add here, first, I'm going to bring it back to life. If you are not sure what I'm doing, just because this is Divi, you may not even be using Divi. Don't worry about it. I'm going to make another course on Divi only. So if you're interested, we can talk about it there. But for now, just that I wanted to have this title here. I didn't want the heading to go somewhere else. I'm going to get rid of my own logo. Let's go to one of the websites that I told you. In this case, I'm going to pixabay.com. Let me just quickly, I'm just going to write it here. Come on. Okay. Now, you should know something in terms of a mistake that a lot of businesses are actually burnt for is that I know a lot of my own clients who send me photos, beautiful photos. There's a daycare I'm working on their website, and the name is Honey Bunny. It's cute. So I told her to send me a photo so I can, like a sort of an image. She didn't have a logo. So I was like, sure, I can make something very quick for you. Send me just an image that you want in your logo. So she sent me an image of a bunny, which was very good, until I asked her, where did you get this? And she said, oh, I went on Google and I searched bunny. I went here and oh, it was so cute. And I downloaded one of them. Let's say this. My next question was that, Miss, do you know that if the owner of that image likes and they sue you, they can sue you for up to, I think, 260,000 US dollars. Do not do this. I never recommend it. A lot of these photos might be completely free. Because you don't know what the source of the photo on Google is. If you really want to know, then you need to click on it, go to that actual page, and hope to God that, pray to God that they don't own the image, which obviously these guys do own it. This is a full-on landing page for a business. So I'm pretty sure they're not going to be happy if I take their photo. That being said, copyright, oh God, North America, copyright. Come on, people. In Iran, there is no copyright. We copy everything from everyone. It's so much fun. Anyway, in this case, I want to get a photo of a laptop because it's relevant to my work. So I'm going to take one of these. This looks like a Tech Master. Okay. She's a little stressed out. So yes, I like this photo. Perfect. The good thing is that as you can see here, it says no attribution required. These photos are called royalty-free images. A royalty-free image doesn't belong to anyone. Anybody can use it. So yes, it is bad. And I'm going to download the smaller one. Yes, it is bad in a sense that everybody else will be using it. But if you know how to use it and where to use it correctly, like the example I gave you on my own website, like this image, then it doesn't matter if other people are using it as well. It's most effective when it's relevant to the rest of the content. Now, in this case, I downloaded that. So I want to go ahead and let's see. I want to add an image. Downloads, and let's upload this image. Great. And there you go. So Business Tech Masterclass with an image. Okay, not bad. It's more relevant. Perfect. Now, of course, you always have the option to modify the image, to edit the image, to make. Now we will talk about all of those as we go in the following sessions. But let's say if I want to give it a shadow, there you go. I can add some shadow to make it more visible. But the point being, right now, if somebody lands on this page, they will see what the title is. They will feel what it's about, and they will know what to do. Is it enough? Absolutely not. There's not enough content on this page, but this is the very, very basic of a landing page. So far, so good? Anyone? Any questions? No? All good? Perfect. Now, I am a big fan of using graphics, like random graphics, such as the ones you can expect to find on this website, what we call vectors or videos. The good thing about this Pixabay website is that you can also download vectors, illustrations, videos. So there you go. This is what I told that lady to do. Go here, go on illustrations, and go and search for bunny, and then get one of these bunnies and send it to me. Because this bunny doesn't belong to anyone. Anybody can use it. Yes, ma'am.
What is vectors?
I'm going to get to that too. So first, illustrations, we got that. Don't worry about it. Now let's go to vectors. The vector graphic is basically pretty much an illustration. It's a computer-based graphic. This is not a very good example. A good example would be at another website that I've written there for you, would be at Freepik. What is a vector? This would be a vector. Things that are generated by computer. They are basically there are different layers. They're completely graphic. They are not necessarily there's no photography inside them, and they have multiple layers on top of each other. They're not just one drawing. It's a mix of many drawings. That would be called a vector. So this would be a vector. I love this. Okay, I want to make a landing page for pizza. Goat cheese and thank you. This would be a vector. This is a very good example of a vector. Vectors, if you look at most professional websites, they use vectors. Why? Vectors are less distracting and more to the point, right? This simply shows the concept that you want to talk about. There's nothing else around it. There's no, if there is a girl, the girl is not necessarily too beautiful or ugly or anything, so it's not going to distract the boys who are going to visit the page. This would be the least example I can give. This is only and only to the point. So yes, and number one, no, it's not childish. Some people have this feeling, oh, I want my website to look very professional. If you want your website to look professional, use vectors, use PNGs, use logos. Yes, like if you use, let me put it this way, if you use this image, I bet you people are not going to look at it. No matter how beautiful, charming, reflective, and everything it may be. But if you use something like, I don't know, something like this, trust me, everybody's going to take a second and just at least try and read what is inside that. Because there are no extra distractions. It's only and only down to that concept that is in there. Oh, Halloween. I like that. So I'm going to take another one here. I'm going to search laptop. Okay. You see there, you can actually buy PNG versions with transparent background, which is the ideal type of image for your website. Did you know you can do something else too? You can even upload, actually, I think on all of them. If you like, you can even upload a moving PNG. Let me give you an example. Business websites. I think I have some PNGs here, if I'm not wrong. I'm sorry, I don't know where I've put those PNGs, but there are, yes, I cannot find it. My apologies. Could be on my desktop. Yes, I'm sorry. There you go. It means, all in all, what you are trying to do is to get people to pay attention to one certain point, whether that is through an animation, if I find it eventually, whether it's through, there you go. You can use GIFs if you want. This would be an example that you saw I used. This would be another one. There you go. If my work is about Wi-Fi, internet, or anything, I can simply import something like this. I don't like to use animations on landing pages. I have to say that as well, because I feel they're distracting people from the task of paying attention to the most important thing, which is this form. However, you should make the call based on your own industry, based on what your clients respond to. Like, yes, there are some certain GIFs like this. Is it GIF or GIF? I didn't realize it anyway. So if you can use minor animations like this, let's say as an arrow that keeps doing this, and you put it right next to the send message or the submit button or buy now button. Sure, that could be interesting. That could attract people to the point that you want. But in the end, the most important point is passing the idea across, sending it across. Make sure your clients, your prospects understand it, and make sure that they don't get distracted by the amount of content that you're using. Take a look at these. Like I said, most of these are free. I put your free images for you, free videos. Free graphics such as FreePic that we just looked at, and also royalty-free PNG icons. One of my favorite things to do. And flat.com, come on, so things like these. Now, Yes, this one's really childish. I give you that one. But no, there are a lot of things that you can find, such as, let's say I want to search sponsor. Okay, this is what I used on a client's website last week. Actually, if I can find it, 3, 2, 1, there you go, this. So it looks professional enough. It sent the message across and it works for people. And this is on a this was on a web page that had dark blue and gold coloring, everything so fancy and shiny. This still looked good and people still responded to that. So this would be another good example of something you can use. I have, like I said, I have put all of these in the list. So feel free, navigate through them, see which ones you like, which ones you don't like, and we go from there. Third, have an efficient lead capture form. Now this is the most important thing. We are creating our landing page, our sales page, or whatever that it is, because we want people's information. And on a landing page, we are not interested in people's credit cards. On a landing page, we are interested in knowing people. That's it. Like I said, landing page is just like that first smile that you give people when they are thinking about coming into your shop. So when you're creating a landing page, your form should be the most important, the most highlighted feature of your page. So how can I do that? Let's try something here. Do you see my form? Is it really highlighted? Nah, I'm not a big fan of that. So I'm going to do something else. I'm going to really highlight that. I'm going to put, just give me 1 second to put some padding here. I'm going to give it a small border. And is it more visible now? Yeah, more or less. I can make it even more visible. Now it's really down to your taste. You can either go through giving it, let's say, a shadow to stand out if you want. Let's say like this. Now this way people are not going to miss that form, because it looks like it's sort of away from the rest of the page. It's a separate element. It really down to your own taste and what you think is right for you. I don't recommend you to make it too loud, because then even that can be sort of pushing people back. I never recommend people to use colors like red around their forms. People need to take their time to fill out your form. The best color for that would be blue, different shades of blue. So right now I have a blue border. If I want to set a background, what I can do is, let's say, a very, very bright blue, something like this. So this could actually be more interesting to people when they come on this page. My own taste, I don't like the background. I always prefer to have the background as white. This is highlighted enough for me, but if you think it's necessary, ClickFunnels does this a lot on their default forms. They actually add a background color to most of their forms. So it's totally up to you what you're doing. That being said, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to say, so that's Business Tech Masterclass, and that was in H1, if you remember. I'm going to write something else like learn to thrive. I don't know, some slogan, whatever that works with tech. And now I'm going to change this to H2. Now I can go ahead and modify these as well. So I'm going to change this to the same font. However, I want this to be slightly smaller. And I want it to be in blue color. Okay. Better. Perfect. Am I missing anything else? Yes, pretty much. Number one, I wish I could add another graphic here, like an arrow. So tell people which way to go. No matter how silly it may sound, every landing page, every sales page uses that. The sales pages use arrows, simple as that, because they work. Even the example that I gave you, even in my screen, if you see, I use an arrow where it does matter, when I want people to pay attention to a certain thing. If I actually, if I had moved this arrow here, I promise you, the first thing you would read would not be royalty-free images, it would be royalty-free graphics. Our eyes follow arrows. Do I really need to use this ugly shape of an arrow? No. Well, that is where design has different ways to go. Let me give you an example. In this case, I want to add another one. Yes, thank you. Very good. Now, let's say I want people to go after doing this. I want them to pay attention to whatever that is down here. There are many different ways. What does matter is the shape of an arrow. If it's not an arrow itself, it doesn't really matter. Let's take a look. Okay, I'm going to give it this, and I'm going to turn it, let's say, let's make it gray. Yep, okay, good enough. Perfect. Now, I think you can see where I'm going with this. This is more than enough to give people the idea that they need to go down. That's it. As long as people can see something like this, they feel that it's necessary for them to see, is there anything else down here? That's it. This is the basic, that's all you need to do to get the message across that, hey, I have some more important information down here. That's it. So yes, please use arrows. Make sure that use graphics wherever necessary. Don't make your pages boring. Nobody likes a boring page. I learned that the hard way. Anyway, we were talking about forms. The form needs to stand out. The form needs to is the most important thing, but doesn't mean that I can have a long form on my page. It really depends down to the reason you have it. If you look at my example on TechMaster Academy, I do have a rather long form here, but there is a reason. This is not this is a sales page. This is not a landing page. The sales page is basically, and this sales page is actually registering people for membership on this website. So yes, I need a lot of information, but this is all the information that I needed. There were other things that I could ask people, like their apartment number, and make it a separate field. But the point is, the shorter, the better. The less time people spend looking at your form, you have the higher chance you have of people actually filling it up. And number two, only somebody who is really interested in your product would be willing to sit down and actually fill all of this form. So what does it mean? The people who do get past this form are very high quality leads. But if I have a form such as this, which only has name and email, obviously a higher number of people would be willing to fill this out. So what does it mean? I will get more leads, but not necessarily a higher quality. So does it make sense? If you, again, when it comes to forms, if you, let me actually read this through because I wrote everything that I wanted to tell you here. So as marketers or salespeople, we want to get as much information. We talked about that. Clients, on the other hand, they want to spend as little time as they can filling out forms and everything else to get to the offer that we are promising them. If people come to Business Tech Masterclass and I tell them, hey, right off the bat, no strings attached, I'm going to give you 5 easy fixes for your website, which is my gift. People don't want to fill out 6 lines of field to get there. People want to get their gift right there, just by writing their name and email. Even if possible, not even name and email, just click and download. But that is where we are negotiating with our clients. We tell them, hey, give us your name and email, only this, and we will give you the freebie. Done. So this is why the fields we use, they play a major role, and they basically, the shorter, as I wrote here for you, generally, shorter forms result in more leads, and longer forms will result in fewer but higher quality leads. So you need to decide how to balance it. Personally, I always recommend people, and that's what we always do, to use shorter forms for landing pages and longer forms for sales pages. If somebody was interested enough to get to your sales page, then most probably they are interested enough to fill out the form and pay you or give you whatever information that you're asking them for. Make sense? So there are a lot of tools you can use. Now I'm going to give you an example with ClickFunnels right now. ClickFunnels or Kajabi or Infusionsoft, they all have their own form builders. So you're not allowed to use a secondary form builder. WordPress being an open source platform, you can use any form builder that you want. In the example that I will give you on WordPress, I will be using Forminator. I will show you the reason why. But there are many, many other plugins. We have talked about some of them in the previous session. Feel free to go and browse them. Every day there's a new plugin that is actually doing something that other ones didn't do. The reason I chose Forminator is that most of the features that we use, such as this form here, if I can go back and show you, such as getting people's names, emails, their address, their physical address, their I don't know, phone number, even their payment information, and collecting payments from them, they can be all done through the free version of Forminator. You don't need to buy it. So you see you have credit card processing, everything else, and this is a free tool. There are many other ones that might actually, graphically speaking, they are more pleasant. You can modify them more easily, such as WP Forms. But WP Forms Lite does not give you all the features, so you need to go and buy the Pro version. Even if you are a Divi user, Divi itself has an option for a contact form, the one we were using on this side, if you remember. I'm just going to write contact form. There you go. And you can add any field that you want into it and basically try and integrate it with your own platforms. Now, in this case, I'm not going to be using this because before we finish the class today, I'm going to build a form that has payment processing as well. And I want you to learn how to do that. So let's get going. Now, how to make a proper form. Let's get started with ClickFunnels. I'm going to go to here. I actually I made a very small form, so I'm going to revise that. Together, we're going to create a larger form, and then we're going to see how we can actually collect this information and have it sent to our whatever system that we're using. If you're using MailChimp or Aweber or ActiveCampaign and so on and so forth. So I'm going to edit page. I'm still waiting to edit page. Okay, very good. Let me just give me 1 second to erase this. Perfect. I want to add in this case, I want to add a row with 2 columns onto it. And I'm going to, actually, let me just do it another way. I'm going to add it with 1 column, but I will need to make this slightly smaller. Very good. Now, this is the main thing that I don't like about ClickFunnels. Like you would actually have to write some certain digits manually because this scroll bar doesn't just only allows you to do so much, not everything that you want. So I'm going to leave it on 100 pixels. I'm going to add a contact form here. So I'm going to forms. And let's add, let's say, an input. Let's say an email address. Let's add another input. And that would be, again, going to forms. I'm going to ask for people's names as well. So let me just quickly change this. Enter your name. Enter your email address. Very good. Perfect. And I'm going to need one more element, and that is form a submit button. If I can, there we go. Button goes here. Perfect. So now that this is done, I have a form. The only problem is that this form, as you can see, is not really doing anything, sending information anywhere. In terms of style of a landing page, if I get the chance to show you, I'm just going to erase this. I have a heading, I have a subheading, and I have a contact form, and I have a sign up button. This is good enough for a heading. This is this is the most efficient way to create a header for a website. Let's go and do the same thing. Yes, yes, perfect. That is awesome. Thank you. Let's go and do the same thing with our form here. We created a form. In this case, I made it with Forminator, and I put the first name field here, an email address, phone number, and message. So far, so good. Now the question is, where should these go? And that is where we get to our next slide, which is about basically integrating, creating sales pages, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to quickly go over the few things that we need to talk about in terms of sales pages as well before we finish the talking design and then go to integrations. A sales page is a landing page. So if you want to compare, this is a landing page. This is a sales page. And in terms of the content that you see, you have call to actions, you have a form, you have heading, subheading, and so on and so forth. The only difference is that a sales page has more content into it, and a basic landing page, which is only designed to get people's attention, has fewer elements on it. That being said, still, a sales page is a landing page, is a type of landing page. The content itself can vary quite a lot. There are a few things that can be allowed on a sales page which are not allowed on a landing page. Like I told you, I'm not a big fan of using animations or videos or GIFs or GIF files on a landing page. Yes, because they can distract your potential client. However, on a sales page, which is the next step in your funnel after a landing page, you will get to the sales page, let's say, then those people have already proven that they are serious about your offer. They might actually buy your offer. So adding more value can only help. Yes, you can use a video or a slide. Make sure that your video is nothing more than a minute for two reasons. Number one, nobody will watch it more than a minute. Number two, you can use the same video on your social media as well, on your Instagram, for instance. That is a very good place to welcome them and ask them that hook question, the final sales questions that you have. Make sure there are very clear call to actions. Now, and repeat it in every fold or screen height. What does it mean? If I look at my sales page, I have a call to action here. This is called from up here, from right where my screen begins, to here where my screen finishes. This is called the fold. Imagine the idea being a website is like a cardboard that has been folded in different sections, and you can fold them on top of each other. So if I go down the fold, I will need to make sure that there is another call to action. This is the most important rule in page design. Make sure there are call to actions. Now, but you might say, but I only have one thing for people to do, and that is fill out the form. What else can I put there? You can do something like this. This is called an anchor link. I will teach you how to create that. On your sales page, you have one purpose, and that is to make people buy from you, of course. And that is done through if it's an e-commerce page, then that's going to be done through your checkout page or add to cart or whatever process that you have. This page is so simple. It has one call to action, which as it should, as a sales page, there should be one major call to action, but there can be infinite minor call to actions like these that help people navigate to where you want them to go. And again, you can have another promise, another special feature. So that out of the way, we have already talked about using icons, using illustrations. So please go ahead and take a look at these. I wrote some basic principles for you, such as using 3 different fonts. Please take a look at them. This again has to do with your copywriting. So we're going to leave it out for now. When it comes to pop-ups or chatbots, a lot of websites use pop-ups that are automatically generated. So the moment you scroll down, so basically that pop-up, let's say, is triggered the moment you scroll down, or that pop-up is triggered after a certain amount of time. Or basically what I'm saying is that most websites, they make a mistake by not giving control to people to see the pop-ups. How many of you have gone to websites, a pop-up came up and you immediately backed off? Most people feel like that. If somebody holds something in your face, it's not going to be nice. So you have different ways to do it. One of my favorite way is to tell them actually, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you something you wanted. Click it. And when they click it, they get that pop-up. All of a sudden, a pop-up is not something annoying anymore. It's actually something useful and pleasant to work with. Because I, as a user, had the chance to decide and reach it myself. Make sense? Perfect. So please take a look at these guys when you're reviewing this course content for our following session. Take a look at these suggestions. They are mainly suggestions, number 1 to 8 that you see here. There are suggestions that I do insist you listen to, but it's, in the end, it's up to you yourself. Take a look at your own business, see which ones you have missed, which ones you have done, which ones you haven't, and go ahead and take care of them. Number 3, the font variation would be a very good example. There are a lot of websites that I see that do not do this, and that's a big mistake. You need to give your visitors a feeling of having a fresh page in front of them, not something boring and repetitive. With that out of the way, there are a few examples. Take a look at them, please. Let's see how other people have done. I want to show you some examples. I start with Tony Robbins, Mr. Tree. I like him, but he's a little scary. This would be his landing page. Again, yes, there is navigation because this is also a membership website, so navigation needs to be there. But do you see how large the heading is and how clear the message is? And also there's a call to action. Perfect. We're going to take a look at another example. In this case, we're going to take a look at an example of a very good opt-in, form, or how it's implemented on the page. Again, there's a heading. In this case, Brendon Bouchard has decided to use his Live, Love, Matter, sort of a memorable slogan, which is a very good idea. And also, obviously, a very simple opt-in if you want to get access to his breakthroughs. Again, another good example would be from another master of business, and that would be Iman Agai. Yes, I really, really like the way this contact form has been set up. Just give me 1 second to load this.
I love him.
Yes, I love him too. What I love the most is the simplest, the most basic form, which gives everything they want. First of all, I can tell you that this is Divi. This website is running Divi because this is a Divi form, okay? And these are radio buttons and everything else. But see what he's asking for. He's asking for first name and last name. I will tell you why it's a good idea to have them on separate fields. Email address, phone number. So now he has everything he needs to contact people. And then look at this. My main purpose for contacting Iman is no beating around the bush, no nonsense, just right in the face. What do you want? Simple. In this case, Iman has used radio buttons, so you can only select one, which sends a very clear message across. I only do these things. Yes, he has left an option, all other inquiries, but by including these 4 options, number 1, 2, 3, 4, he has already told people what type of business he's in, what type of clients he wants, what services he can do for people. That's it. This is the meaning of efficiency in form. If your form is too long, people are not going to do it. If you ask people to write what they want from you, you have less chance of getting responses than giving them options. Always and always give people options. It's the same thing I have written for you. I guess I lost my, whatchamacallit, my PowerPoint here. Just give me 1 second. There you go. Okay. This is the same thing I have written for you in my points on sales pages. Please make sure you give people options. If you're selling something, give them option, buy this or buy this. Again, this has to do with your marketer. Talk to your marketer, talk to your copywriter. They are the people they are the go-to people. I'm just a designer here, but yes, I'm the go-to guy for design, but I don't write content for you. But from experience, I can tell you, look at number 8, always offer more than one option. Doesn't matter if it's in your contact forms, if it's selling them products, even if you don't have a second product, that's fine. If you're not selling your main product, if let's say I have a main product for $1,000, like this example, okay, my Business Tech Masterclass is actually going to go for $1,000. But when it comes to opt-in, right? I can't expect people to opt in for something they don't know and pay money for it. So I need to make it something very simple. But right now, on the entirety of this website, I have given people 2 options. Option 1, download my freebie. Option 2, buy my course. So yes, they are not on the same page necessarily. That is understood. But there are 2 options. Always and always give people options. Your conversion will increase. The same people who are not willing to pay $1,000 for my course are still willing to put their name and email in the opt-in to download something free, right? Good. So they didn't buy my course. Now, maybe I can follow up with them in 6 months, and maybe they want to buy my course then. That is the whole point of having freebies and landing pages. There are a lot of other examples, like Deneen Collins. This website is actually, yes, it's a little. I have shared one of the websites I myself made, but there's a reason. This website is one of the most attractive, yes, one of the most simple websites I've ever created. And the reason I love it is that it checks all the boxes. This could be Web Design 101, this website. Number 1, the balance of colors that are good enough. Everybody likes the image of city at night. Does it have anything? Now, this is, to be honest, clients selected this image. So this is not still my favorite image, but clients selected this with an idea of how this could actually make it more welcoming to people. That is that client's idea. That's absolutely fine. This person is a local publisher, so she wanted to give the feeling of locality to people who land here. It has a very clear H1 heading. This is useless, so I wrote them in. I didn't want the Google or other search engines to mark these extra words. So I said, this is interesting. I said Google and my phone started to. Anyway, it has a very clear call to action. It says what exactly you get, and it says who this person is. You see who this person is? Build up some credibility. Another call to action. Do you remember I said you need to have a call to action in every fold? You have a call to action in every fold. This is how you should design your pages. Now, this course is not to make you web designers, but this course is meant to show you these. So now you can go and look at your own landing pages and sales pages and see, what am I missing? What is not where it should be? So feel free, reach out if you need help, go ahead and try and fix this. Okay, I have some chat here. I hate pop-ups, Liz. Yes, everybody hates pop-ups. The moment somebody holds it in your face, you're like, okay, back off. And And Lysias, I can see that your connection is unstable. Still, this is being recorded, so you can watch it later again. Don't worry about that. Let's go back to this. The last piece of the puzzle, my friends, CRM integrations and mailing lists. So considering the amount of time that we have, I'm not going to read through this, but I will explain everything to you as I'm working on the pages to show you an example. The example I'm going to be giving you is number one, with CRM integration. In this case, we're going to do MailChimp with both WordPress and ClickFunnels. And we're going to take a look at payment processing. In this case, it's going to be Stripe. Now, let me just quickly close these. Perfect. Bye, Iman. It was nice seeing you. We talked about these. First, let's get started with MailChimp here. The first point that I need to make is that every field, every piece of information that you collect, if you want it to be stored, you need to make sure your CRM, your MailChimp, your Aweber, your ActiveCampaign have a corresponding field to that. Simple as that. Let me go here. Here's a snapshot of what it looks on MailChimp. MailChimp has fields for email address, first name, last name, phone number, business title, the group that you're putting them in, the name of your list, the tags, and a few other options. Aweber is another example. Aweber doesn't allow for first name, last name. They have name only. So if I am creating a form and I'm using Aweber, okay, but if I'm creating a form and I use first name, last name, and I say, hey, send this to Aweber, Aweber is going to select only one of them. So then you will get your list on Aweber and you see, oh, you have a long list of first names. You don't have any last names. So always and always check your CRM first to see what fields you have. Again, I repeat, if you select a field here that does not exist here, you have wasted your time completely. This issue, and let me go slightly more in depth. I've shared a link here for you from MailChimp. Like I said, the example I'm giving you is MailChimp, and for a good reason. MailChimp actually has classified these better than anybody else. This is a list of something called merge tags or merge fields. What is this? Do you remember how we wrote something here and we hid it so only the computer could see it, but people could not see it? A merge field is the same thing. A merge here, I see a viewer sees first name, email address, phone number, correct? What a computer sees is this asterisks, separator, whatever code separator asterisk. For example, let's say name or email or a Mac language or date. So for any information to be transmitted between, in this case, between my ClickFunnels and my MailChimp, both of these two platforms need to be using the exact same code. Is it getting scary? Not really. Here's the reason. You don't really need to learn these codes at all. There you go. This is the first name, this is the last name, and this is the email merge field. You only need to make sure that they are the same. Simple as that. Just by the way, because a lot of people have had this issue with ClickFunnels, I also posted this, which is actually help from ClickFunnels themselves on how to how to customize your merge fields. Would you need to do it? I personally experienced it once where I created a form. I integrated with the CRM, and the moment somebody tried to submit the form, the integration broke. Now, speaking of integrations, I'm going to save this. Before I go to and actually do a very basic integration, my question is, does anybody have any questions? If you have a question, please raise your hand. You can raise your hand in Zoom itself. All good? Perfect.
All good.
Lise, do you have any questions?
I'm sure I'll have a million questions as I'm doing it. as
Okay.
well.
So you're going to watch this and go with me. So perfect. I'm going to do an integration. I'm going to create an integration on ClickFunnels first. If you are a ClickFunnels user, I'm going to the menu, I'm going to account settings, and I'm going to integrations. I'm going to add an integration. What does it mean? I'm going to introduce my profile on ClickFunnels to my profile on MailChimp and tell them, hey, you know what? You can trust each other. You can work together. How can I do this? What I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to MailChimp and ask for a secret that I'm going to share with my ClickFunnels. And only these two know the secret. So the way it works is that MailChimp is going to create a secret and give it to me. Whoever I give this secret to, MailChimp is going to trust them and work with them. This secret, if you remember, is called an API key. If you don't remember where to get it, I'm quickly going to go to my MailChimp just to show you. If you're every platform has one of these, so it's not just MailChimp. But for the sake of this course, the example I'm giving you would be are with these tools. If you're a MailChimp user, go to your name, your account, go to account itself, click on extras and API keys. There you go. You see I've created 3 API keys. I'm going to copy this one. I'm going back to my ClickFunnels. I want to add a new integration. Good. You see, there are a lot of many platforms that, in this case, let's say ClickFunnels allows to integrations with. Zoom is something we all use. Webhook API, I'm going to show you how that works later, even Shopify, and so on and so forth. In this case, we're going with MailChimp. All right. It says integration nickname. It doesn't matter what nickname you select. But that being said, I always try, and because you can create nicknames for your APIs as well, I always try and use the same thing, just in case. Call me crazy. And this is crazy because these two shouldn't have anything to do with each other. But let's say better safe than sorry. So this title is beta group. I'm going to use the same title here. I'm going to write beta group. And I'm going to put my API key here. Add integration, and ladies and gentlemen, we have an integration. That's it. As simple as that.
Is
So
it always called API?
it's always called API for this kind of integration. As we go next session, I'm going to show you there are other types of integration too. But
Okay.
in the end, whatever it is, Lise, it's just a code.
Okay.
You need to get from one place and drop it somewhere else. That's it.
Okay.
So, and I said, is it always called API? You're going to see. Actually, here they call it webhook API, but there's another type of code that Stripe uses, for example. We barely use those. If you want to set up an e-commerce website, you are going to need webhook handles as well. It's not really something that we are concerned with in this course because none of us use it here. So to narrow it down, yes, it's mainly 99% of the cases, it's an API. Now, is our integration over? Like I said, no, we made the integration correct, but we have not tested it yet. And we have not connected our form to this integration yet. So I'm going to go back here to my funnel. Let's go back here. Come on. Let's go here, edit page. Thank you. All right, now what I do need to do, it says input type not set. I'm going to set all of these input type. This is where you make it correspond to your MailChimp. My MailChimp, you remember, it had first name, last name. So what I can do is actually add another field here. I am only, in this case, I'm only interested in people's last names. So I'm going to make it last name. And I'm going to say enter your last name. You get the idea. And because I put last name here, when people submit this form, I will be able to see I should be able to see this person's information. No, not campaigns. Sorry, here, audience. I will not see this person's first name because I didn't even ask for it. Whatever this person, just one second. Come on, thank you. All right. Whatever this person puts in this field is going to populate here under this last name. Okay, that being said, I'm going to set the email link as well. There you go. Input type is email address. Very good. And now button. What is a button supposed to do? It's supposed to send our information to MailChimp. So even this page has its own integrations. As you can see, I have already set it. So I'm going to remove this and set it again. Do you remember that we created an API integration? It's already here. I created my integration. I'm going to ask it, add people to the list, and I'm going to select the list. This tells me, as you can see here, the name of my list is Sketchbro Studios. This tells me that, oh, TJ left. Okay, bye, TJ. You missed a very important part. This tells me that the integration is healthy and it's working correctly. I can see the name of my list here on ClickFunnels. That means the API is working. Perfect. You see, it's connected. Congratulations. Now what I need to do is to go here and say, yes, you know what? Just submit it. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. You just created your, I'm just gonna, let me erase these. And good, you just created your first opt-in form with integration. Before I go to do the same thing on WordPress, does anybody have any questions? Lise, Mo, Caesar, if you have questions, please let me know.
No, I'm just scared.
Why? It was easy.
I'm just scared of doing it on my own, like this weekend when I do my homework.
Well, do it, like I said, do it on your test page. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So what?
Okay.
But then
What?
you will see, then like on the following session, on our this coming Tuesday for our practice session,
Yeah.
if it doesn't work, then we can actually go ahead and see why it didn't work so we can figure it out. So next time when you are doing on your own project, then if it doesn't work, you know how to fix it. That's the whole point, right? So, but congrats, we're done.
I just want to be rich and hire people like you.
Well, yes, me too, to be very honest. But here's the point. I don't know if it's how do you pronounce it? Masochism, the sort of psychological issue that I personally enjoy dealing with these things. Yes, sometimes it is frustrating, but to be very honest, I'm going to be very frank. With the recent changes with COVID and everything, all of our life is going to be online soon. So you are basically being ahead of everybody else by learning these things. Everybody will need to learn these things.
Yeah.
You can't soon, there are not going to be any stores selling sandwiches. Everybody's going to be making sandwiches at home, having a website, selling them online and shipping it through, I know, with whatever it is to people.
No, I don't want that.
Nobody wants that, but unfortunately that's the way it's going.
It's making me cry.
Okay, let's back up there. So, but anyway, I personally enjoy playing with these things. So there you go. Let's do a quick recap. How did we create this? We got an API from our target, which in this case, which was MailChimp. We came back to our ClickFunnels and we created an integration, if you remember, from here. So this is only defined an integration. So these two devices can trust each other. Then we went to our actual page and we said, okay, do you remember the integration I just made? Use this field for this field, use that field for that field. And this is what I want my form to do. Now that it's done, let's go and do the same thing very quickly here. If you remember, I made a form here. In this case, I have first name, email, phone number, and I'm just going to modify it very quickly and create the same integration here. In this case, like I said, the example I'm using is from a plugin called Formiator. So this is Formiator. I'm going to go to settings. Come on, Forminator. Thank you. And I'm going to take a look. Actually, give me 1 second. Integrations, not settings. I need to go to integrations. I'm going to create an integration just like we did there on the back end of ClickFunnels. So I don't have any integrations. Very good. I'm going to add MailChimp. You see, it's asking me for my API key. So back here to account. And people who are watching this, if you copy my API key, there's nothing I can do. So please don't copy my API key. Thank you. I appreciate it. That is why this is a private class. Okay. So copy. Where am I going? Here. Paste, connect, fingers crossed. 3, 2, 1, MailChimp added. Congratulations. There you go. So now that MailChimp got added, I can configure this app. I can tell it, number one, how many people can fit on my, let me actually go to the other side. This is already done. So these two devices, my MailChimp and WordPress, are going to trust each other. When I go to my form, I can select and say, okay, this is how I want the MailChimp to work. This is the type of information I want MailChimp to get. So this is our published one. Let me quickly go here to edit. It's the same process as we did on ClickFunnels, only on a different one. In this case, I want people's phone number. I want people's first name. I also want people's last names. So let me quickly add another name field here. Name, I'm going to call this one, I'm going to bring it here to make it look better. I'm going to call this one last name. For example, John Doe. Perfect. Yes, it is a required field. Now, do you remember when we talked about merge fields? Most, pretty much, no, it's wrong to say most. All WordPress plugins do this thing completely automatically, so you don't need to worry about it. ClickFunnels, on the other hand, doesn't do it automatically, or Infusionsoft, on the other hand, doesn't do it automatically. That is why a lot of people make beautiful forms that simply doesn't work. So watch the, let me just share this again. Watch this video if you are using ClickFunnels and you have, or if you're using anything, basically any form builder, and your form, you click submit and your integration breaks, watch this. It's big. It's mainly because of your merge fields. Let's go back. And there we are. All right. Now I created first name, last name. Yes, I'm going to make sure this one, these are all required. Perfect. And because my MailChimp doesn't take messages, I'm going to get rid of this message. Do I have to? No, I can make a form and say, hey, these fields should go to MailChimp. This field, email it to me. Sky is the limit. You can do as many integrations as you want. And it's actually the name, the word sounds scary. Integration is much simpler than you think. So, but for now, for this case, I'm gonna keep it actually. Let's work on it together. Enter your message. Perfect. I'm going to update this. Let me go to integrations here. Now I am modifying the integrations inside that form. This is a very good example of how merge fields or these codes work when you have a proper tool like Forminator. Do you remember that we added MailChimp? It says connected apps, MailChimp. Perfect. I need to activate it. So first it will ask me how many people are on my list, or how many people, what is my list limit? Well, I go to my API key, I go to my MailChimp and I see that it says I cannot have more than 2,000. Unfortunately, I cannot find my dashboard, but it said 2,000. So I'm going to write 2,000, which is very generous of MailChimp. Other platforms don't give you that. Yes, I have a list, SketchBros. Thank you. What is double opt-in? It means if that person whoever comes to this form and submits it, if that person already exists on my Mailchimp, right now, like as it is, it's going to overwrite the last one. But if I want to keep both entries, I can say, yes, use double opt-in. So it means I might see let's say I might see Lise Levin twice in my list, but because one time Lise Levin came from, let's say from here, one time Lise Levin came from, for God's sake, here, this opt-in form, okay, because she knows me. Another time Lise Levin came from the form that we created here. But I want to know how many of my resources Lise Levin has used. So on my MailChimp, now this is where it's getting a little tricky. On my MailChimp, on my audio, or on my ActiveCampaign, or wherever you are, you can do a trick. You can either create different lists. Now, ActiveCampaign allows you to create different lists. So this is super easy. You don't even need double opt-in. Every form, you connect it to a different list. Simple. In MailChimp, you cannot do that, but instead, you can create something called segments. So, and you can say, okay, you know what? These are all of you guys here. How did I force MailChimp to keep you here? In this case, I added you manually. But if you look at my other segments, you see that they came here. It says source API. How many APIs can I create? 10 million. So for every form, I use a different API. Then I create I define a segment. I'm going to actually do that right now. I create a new segment that takes all the leads that come from that API. And this is, my friends, how you organize your contacts. You don't have to do any of these. It really depends how much traffic you have, how much of a follow-up email and automated email you use in your business. It's really down to that. If you just want to have people in one list, don't even worry about double opt-in or API keys, multiple API keys. Just use one API, go with that. So now you will see that now that I've said which list, it is what it did is that it went here and it checked how many fields I had. It found that I had email, I had tag, I don't know, blah. Let me just go back to all audience, all contacts. Not a segment, please. Just view contacts, not segments. Anyhow, it checked my MailChimp and I realized that, oh, there is first name, there is last name, there is this. Now it is telling me to match my merge fields. That code that is behind, which code corresponds with which code? Or in our life, as simple as it is, email, this is a MailChimp field, this is a Forminator field, the plugin I'm using here. Whatever email we collect here should go to the email address field on MailChimp. Am I collecting address? No, I'm not. But MailChimp supports address too. Good. But I am collecting first name and last name, right? So whatever I collect from the first name field on my Forminator is going to land in the first name field on MailChimp. Last name goes to last name. Phone number goes to phone number. Do you remember I have another one, messages? Yes, I have messages field on Forminator, but I don't have a messages field on MailChimp. This is the point I was trying to make. Again, the common mistake is that a lot of people think that softwares, plugins, platforms do this automatically. No. For whatever reason, the technology is not advanced enough to happen automatically. So you always need to come and check your fields and make sure that they match. Now, my friends, we're golden. Let me just save this. I'm going to update this. And if I go to the front end of my page and fill out my form, people should be seeing, we can actually try it if you want. People should be seeing the information in my MailChimp. So I'm going to go here. Let me go to my front page. No, not here. View. Yes. Let's do a test. That being said, we have not set the other things for Formulator. Now, for example, you can actually set the message section to be emailed to you, but I'm not really teaching Formulator here, so don't worry about it. Whatever tool you're using should have a section that asks you, whatever form you're using should have a section that asks you, okay, when I collect this information, what should I do with it? In this case, we have a section called behavior. So I can say after submission, for example, show this message or hide the form, for example, or send them to another page. Okay. So yes, let's send people to something completely irrelevant. Let's send people here. And let's send people here on the same tab. Yes. And show the inline message this and then redirect. Perfect. So every tool has its own settings. Take your time, study it, search about it, and go through it. But you can decide what happens there. And I also have a section notification, email notification. This is where this is by default sending an email to me as an admin of this website. And the email is going to have all of the fields inside it. So this is how I can see people's messages. But there is no way, just don't waste your time that how can I get MailChimp, for example, or ActiveCampaign to collect the message as well. They don't do that. It's not their job. Their job is handling your contacts, not your messages. Maybe there is a platform that does that. I'm not sure. But the usual CRMs that we use, they don't do that. With that out of the way, and I'm just going to update this one more time. Saving. Come on. Yes, thank you. Let me just refresh this page, make sure everything has taken effect. So let's write the name. The first name is Test. Oh, yeah, Tester. Good. What is my last name? Tester. Good. I need an email address. So I'm going to use my one of my, I don't know. Let's put my admin email address. My phone number is not necessary, but I'm going to put it there anyway and send message. Now, what should happen if all the integrations have worked correctly is number one, you saw that I got redirected to the page we selected. Done. Number two, after I managed to, just get out of here very quickly and go here and then go back to audience, hopefully. All right. If I go to view contacts, I should be seeing a new one, admin at SketchPros, tester 60444600072. Congratulations. Job done. Now, you know what I did for my Business Tech Masterclass, which is the best example I can give you. I created a new segment, okay? And so the segment was Business Tech Masterclass. And I said, hey, MailChimp, send a welcome email to everyone. If you look at my campaign, if I can go to my campaigns, I created an automation, which is still sending TechMaster opt-in. Every time somebody gets added to this email, to this list, they're going to get this email. Do you know what this is? This is the automatic email that is going to be sent out that has this file inside it. So if you opt in on my website, what you are going to receive is, let me just see if I can actually open this. What you're going to receive is, oh geez, it doesn't show me the email right now. It's an email message, a welcome message. No, sorry, it doesn't show me right now. But the good thing is that it can tell me where exactly people opted in for, how many, what percentage was from where, and so on and so forth. So I know that this is not easy, so take your time. There's a lot of things. Again, Stripe uses API keys, but they, as I told you, they also use something called webhooks, which we don't really care about. What we do care about is that Stripe, as being a good example, has 4 API keys, not just one. MailChimp had 1. Stripe needs to communicate a lot of information with your website, so it's using 4 different API keys. In this case, every Stripe account has a publishable key and a secret key. And then when you activate the test data, it also gives you a test publishable key and a test secret key. Whenever you want to integrate this with pretty much every tool, whenever you want to integrate this with, integrate Stripe with every tool that you're using, such as Formulator, you are going to need to set up, add all of those API keys. Here's an example. I'm going to quickly insert field. I want to collect money. So I have not done integration here yet. So what I'm going to do is just quickly set up my integration. You see that when I want to set up my Stripe integration, it is going to ask me for 4 items. It's going to ask me, come on, Stripe, work, please. Right now, for whatever reason, my computer is dying, so I'm sorry, it's not loading everything. It asks for those 4 elements that I told you, which you can get by going to Stripe dashboard, developers, API keys, and you can find your API keys here. If you are a PayPal user, it's much easier. If you want to use PayPal, you generally need your, for whatever reason, this is not loading right now. If you want to use PayPal, you need generally your login information, your login email, and your PayPal password. If you want to activate the test mode as well, it's not loading. Sorry about that. If you want to use your test mode as well, you need to enter something called the sandbox tool, a sandbox key from PayPal dashboard. This, again, if you have a business that where you are accepting payments from people on your website, somebody has created this website for you. There's a good chance that they have already set this up for you. But if your website is not collecting payments, everything is set up, then now you know, if you're using Stripe, this is what you need to check on. You need to go to your Stripe, get your API keys, come back to your website, check your API keys, make sure that they match each other.